Okay, welcome everyone. Today you will explore how Lexzur's Automation Hub helps streamline your legal and operational workflows. In this webinar, Caroline and I will present the feature entitled Automation Hub in Lexzur. This webinar is divided into two parts. The first part is handled by me. It is rather than a technological presentation, it is a theoretical presentation to understand the automation concept behind the automation hub feature in Lexzur. And the second part will be handled by my colleague Caroline. She will be presenting how an automation rule is implemented in Automation Hub feature in Lexzur. So let's start by the first slide of the presentation, consisting in asking a very important question: why automate Lexzur? The direct answer, straightforward, is very simple: to maximize efficiency. So we define automation to maximize efficiency. To increase productivity, we need to allow users to focus more on strategic and high value tasks, to contribute to innovation, business growth, and very important and strategic tasks. Standardizing workflows ensures that tasks are performed uniformly across the organization to reduce errors and enhance quality control. By eliminating repetitive tasks and manual tasks, the team will be able to redirect efforts toward more impactful work. And to automate tasks, we use automation to allow teams focusing and accelerating on project timelines. So with Lexzur, creating automation rules is very simple, is easy, is native. So no technical background is needed to design and deploy an automation rule. Our no-code rule builder lets you design automation in just a few clicks, whether you are handling a routine task, simple task, or a complex workflow. So what are the key elements of automation rules? Key elements consist in three core composing, which is named automation rules. The first element, entitled triggers. Triggers initiate the rule when an event occurs. For example, a task is created, a litigation case is created, a priority is modified, etc. So an event, okay, it triggers something. So a trigger initiate the automation rule, okay. This is the first block of the automation rule, as we are seeing at the top of this slide. The second block, which is condition or conditions in plural, maybe more than one condition. So this block consists in specifying criteria to refine the rule. For example, matter type must be commercial, matter type must be civil, a due date approaching. So after the definition of a trigger, we have to define one or more conditions. Why? To specify or to control this automation rule? It depends firstly on the trigger, it depends on an event that occurred, but conditioned by specific criteria. So the third block is the actions or one actions, similarly to a condition or more conditions. So the actions execute predefined tasks. Example, assign case to someone, send email notification, update status. So we need to combine these three building blocks of an automation rule, okay, to maybe auto assign a new task to a responsible, notify teams when a contract reaches approval stage, closing matters after all related cases are resolved or all related tasks are resolved, escalating cases if no activity is recorded within a set of time frame. So let's discuss deeply what are triggers. So here I'm discussing the first block entitled trigger. So as I said, triggers initiate the execution of automation rule. So they listen for events. They listen for events in Lexzur, a matter case, task, contract being created, a value field being updated, as I told. So triggers can be configured or can be configured to run related to an automatic action, in the sense that when specific events occur, or maybe manually triggered by users. Okay, so triggers can be automatic or manual. So triggers are the starting point of any automation rule. Uh, Example, outside our context, if someone knocks the door, this is a trigger. I need to think about this action to decide if I'll open this door or I'll not open it. It depends on a condition, okay? But the trigger is an event that occurred. The second block, conditions in Lexzur automation, refine your automation rules. So the rule continues only if condition is met. So example, escalate, for example, escalate a case only if its priority is marked as high. So I cannot do this action, this automatic action, if, let's say, the matter has a priority medium. So we have a condition. So first we trigger a rule, we initiate a rule by a trigger, then we test, we have a condition, okay? If a condition fails, so the rule stops and no further actions are executed. The last block, or the third block, is related to actions. So actions are the executors of your automation rules. It is defined, or it's a kind of predefined tasks and activities, and apply changes within your Lexzur workspace. Example of actions, let's say editing a field, okay? Editing the field as a result of a trigger and condition, change the status of a workflow, send an email notification to someone, create more than one subtask depending on a trigger and a condition, update related items, etc. So actions bring your automation rule or logic to life. So here I'm showing you an example of an automation rule. Of course, we will see a deeper example, technical example with Caroline. But this is an example and taken from Lexzur. We can see here the first block defined of this automation rule. we can see that the trigger is when litigation case is created. So the system will be triggered after each litigation case creation. The automation rules goes in effect when a new litigation case is created. This is the first block. The second block, we see it in orange or yellow color. Okay, this is the condition block. We only want the automation actions to be carried out if the new litigation case is belonging to civil. I don't know if you are able to see inside this rectangle practice area is any of civil. So using the issue fields conditions, the automation rule will check for the litigation case practice area. If the litigation's practice area field is equal to civil, so the automation rule will continue. So the trigger is a litigation case is created. The condition is the practice area field of the litigation case after its creation is set to civil. So the action or block of actions, it depends. Here, the result or the actions performed by this automation rule, okay, are set assignee. So here, as you are seeing in this blue rectangle, I assigned, or the rule, the automation rule assigned this litigation, this new litigation case belonging to civil practice area to a team entitled or named legal review and to a specific assignee named Firas Demo. Okay, this is, by the way, my account on Lexzur named Firas Demo. So to conclude the overall automation rule, we have a trigger. Okay, the system all the time listen for an event. This event occurs, and the event is the creation of litigation case. After this event is triggered, there is a condition to be tested. If this litigation case belongs to civil practice area, so the system will continue the automation rule to assign this new created litigation case to a team entitled legal review and to a specific assignee or specific user named Firas Demo. So now I would like to hand over the floor to my colleague Caroline, who will take you through the next part. By the way, sorry, Caroline, I started the presentation without presenting myself. My name is Firas Abdallah. I'm the head of training and content at Lexzur. So thank you. Caroline, it's for you.
Great. Thank you for this informative presentation. So let me now share my screen. Okay. Okay, so now let's move from theory to practice. So what we will do now is we will walk through a real example. We'll do it together. I will take another example, a different example than the one mentioned in the presentation, which is a litigation case. So let's assume we are working on the contract part, the contract lifecycle management. So I will assume that the contract team will be receiving a contract, a partnership agreement contract, let's say, from the business team or any other department accessing the portal. Let's use also here the client portal to receive this contract. And this contract, let's say it's worth, it could be a high priority contract, a high value contract. Let's take an example of a contract, of a high value contract. So this contract will requires a specific workflow review from the legal team, the head of legal, the finance team before of course the C-level executive can sign off. So let's have a look on how we can prepare this automation rule. So I will start from the automation hub, from the settings. So in this part, I will be creating a new trigger or a new automation rule for that specific type of agreement, or for that particular rule. So the first thing that I will do, let's customize this rule. So in this case, it's let's say partnership agreement workflow, or it could be based on the workflow that you'd like to configure. And then let's start by adding the trigger. So in this case, the trigger will be creating a contract. So as we mentioned previously, it could be based on any other trigger in the system. So whether you are creating a matter, a case, a task, setting a judgment within the litigation case as well, or if it's a contract. In this case, I will choose creating or uploading a new contract. So now the first, the action or the condition that will trigger this automation is the creation or the receive of any new contract within Lexzur. And then let's start build the condition. So in this example, let's say I will start by specifying the if block, the condition. So let's say if it's of type partnership agreement, I will choose this type. And the second condition, so if it's a partnership agreement and the value is, let's say, greater than, for example, 300,000, for example. And let's take another action, condition. If it's particularly received from a specific channel, so if it's received from the client portal, in our case, and if we do have a specific requester name, okay? So it could be based on a specific party name, client name, or in my case, I will take the requester name. So let's say the requester equal Julia. In this case, let's search for Julia Marvin. Okay, so this is my if block. So it's now built. This is the condition that I want to trigger the action based on it. So if all these conditions are met, and here, of course, I have the action to choose if this should be met, if all the conditions are true, or at least one condition matches or one condition is true. So based on that condition or that block, I will add the action. So I will try now, I will start adding the action. So let's first, if it's this type of contract, I want first to set the, let's say, the priority level or the confidentiality level of that contract. So the first thing that I will do is I will set some fields at the level of this contract. So if it's if we receive this type of contract, so I will tell the system to set specific fields, like, for example, this could be a high or critical contract. So I will directly set the priority as critical. Let me also specify other fields. For example, let me also set, I do have custom fields. So, we can customize the fields in contracts, for example. So in my case, I have specific fields for the team to notice the confidentiality level, for example. So let's set this field as well. Let's say it's of internal only, let's say. Okay. And I would like to add one more field or set additional field, which is the expected signature date. It's also a custom field. So this may not be available in every workflow, but it's customized, where you can customize the fields that you need. So based on that date, we can here customize the setting the date field as you want. So it could be based on, for example, how many days after the trigger date, after the creation of that contract, on the trigger date, once you create that contract, or you can choose any customized date. In my case, I will say that set the expected signature date to be after 15 days after the trigger date. So 15 days after we receive that contract. Let's say this is the first action, which is setting fields. I will choose another action, which is in this case, privacy. So let's restrict the access. So only choose some users to be able to access that contract once it's created and added within Lexzur. So in this case, I will choose, let's say, let's add Carolina, for example. Let's add Viras. Okay, and James. Okay, so I will search for the users and give these specific users the privacy settings. Let me also assign it to someone. So in this specific type of contract, I want specifically to be assigned directly to the head of legal, for example. So I will choose the contract team, the assigned team, and then within this team, let me choose, for example, Alice. Now, of course, you can add any other actions, as you can see. If it's just setting fields, if it's setting privacy, releasing privacy, managing parties, and we can also add tasks. So directly automate tasks or send users a reminders. It could be related to that task or any other reminders after the creation of that contract. So let's take also this example. Let's say after the creation of that contract, I want to add the first task, which will due in, let's say, 3 days. It could be a review task. Let's search if we have here. Okay. It will be assigned to, I will assign this to myself, for example, Carolina, and it's a legal review for partnership agreement, let's say. Okay. The other task is, let's say I will assign this to one from the finance team, okay? So it will due in 10 days, for example. I can add another type of task. Let me assign this to another user. Okay, of course, I'm searching here for all these users are licensed user within the system. So it's, let's say, risk assessment task. Okay. And finally, I will add just one more reminder. Okay. So it's similarly, it's in the same way here. Let's say this will be due in 2 days after the trigger. It's a reminder type, just a reminder. And let me assign this to Carolina as well. Okay. The legal review task reminder. Okay, so let's say this is the condition. This is the automation rule that I've prepared, the condition of creating an agreement or receiving an agreement under this if condition. These are the actions that will be applied automatically. And let's add just an else block. So in case this is also another partnership agreement, but let's choose here a different value, less than the value that we've chosen before. What actions that can we take? So let's say it's also a partnership agreement. Okay, and in this case, the second condition will be value, let's say less than 300,000. Okay, in this case, I just want to add one thing here is that setting the field, I want to add the priority. In this case, no need to be critical. Let's say it's of medium priority. Okay, so again, we can build this in the same way. I'm just doing a simple example under the F block, but it can be complicated as much as you need. If else, if this is not met, we can do another condition, etc. Let's take this example. I will save my rule now. Okay, and let's now, it's enabled and it now should be working. Let's take a real example of submitting a contract, creating a contract under this condition and see how the actions will be triggered. So I will open the client portal, okay? Under general contract for review, for example, I will raise a partnership agreement review. Okay, let's take the same condition. So it's from the client portal. It's here, Julia. So I'm using Julia's account. Let's say it's agreement for VLC company. Okay, and let's add this value. This is the date of the contract. Okay, and that's it. I don't want to attach the file now. Okay, so I've created a new contract that meets the condition that we've prepared. Let's now go to the main system. I will go back here to see all the contracts or the contract that I received. Okay, so this is it, the agreement for PLC company. Okay, The first thing that we will check is the priority. So it's set to critical, the confidentiality level, the expected signature date. So you can see here that it's set to 23rd of May, which is after the 15 days or the time that we've set after the trigger. So the contract is created today. So this is the trigger date. Who's the requester, who's the assignee. So it's assigned to Alice, the head of legal in this case, the user. And you can see that it's set to private. So it's now a private contract, only accessible or can be visible by only specific users. In this case, Carolina, Firas, James, Alice, and Ali. What else? Let me go also to the tasks that are created. Of course, the task will be created, the notification will be sent to the assignee directly. Same for the reminders. When it's the time to trigger the reminder, they will be notified by email. So these are the two tasks that we've created, and each one for different users with different, of course, workflow for that task. And if I go to the reminders, we have also the reminder on a specific date based on the due on date of the reminder, and also based on the reminder that we've created. So that's, of course, based on the automation hub. Okay, so what we create within, or the condition that we build within the automation hub, how it's reflected here when we create that contract. But of course, not to forget that automation can also work at the level in the contract in different areas. Like, for example, if you can see here, the automatic creation of approval center, or the preparation of approval center and signature center. I will show you this here based on predefined rules. And you can see that the status also can trigger the starting or the initiation of the approval center. So if you noticed here, I click the status to start, or to link this, that I want now to start the approval process. So it's also automated based on what you need. This is my approval center here. It's also initiated. It directly with one quick click, it's now started. It's awaiting approval. All the emails are sent. And in the same way, we can start with the signature center. Okay. So that's the example that I wanted to show you. I think we can leave now the a space for if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Caroline.
So do you have any questions? Yes, I think we have a question. So okay.
This is a question from Khaled.
Yeah. So we have an authority matrix for each of our companies where certain actions are determined based on criteria. Okay. Okay. Let me show you this. So I've already, I did the example. I think you're asking how you can prepare the approval center and the signature center based on predefined rules. So if you already have specific criteria based on the contract type, value, or anything else, how you can automate to or tell the system to directly create an approval matrix or a signature center. So let me show you this. I will share my screen again. Okay. I already showed you the approval center ready here. It's already configured in my case. And you can see that once I created this contract, I didn't add any approvers or signees. So it's automatically mentioned here. Let me show you how you can configure this. So it's also doable from the settings. We do have the approval and the signature centers under the contracts. This allows you to build approval matrix based on any criteria. So let's do an example. Let's say this is for high priority contracts. Okay, so you can name your approval center depending on the rule or on the criteria that you need to configure. Here, let's say under the fields or the approval condition, you choose the condition. So it could be based on the contract type, value, priority, assignee, requester. You can see all the fields are supported. Let's say it's based on a contract value. Okay, if the contract value is higher than, let's say, the specific value. Okay, or I can add, of course, another criteria logic. So you can add as many conditions as needed, and then set the approvers. Who should be the approvers automatically? It could be adding the approvers here is just like adding the approvers from the contract. So, you can add users, you can add user groups or collaborators. Let's say by default for any contract under this specific value, I need Carolina to be the first approver. You can add here, for example, the approval label. You can add as many approvers as needed. The approval label is mandatory. So you can do something here. You can just build your approval center based on the labels only. So head of legal, paralegals, etc. And then just mentioning the titles without mentioning the name or who should approve. And then you can edit this later on. So let's say here, I will also add a collaborator, Albert. Let's say he's the CEO, for example, etc. So you build the approval center in this case, you add the approval order, and that's it. The same can be applied to the signature center. Okay. Okay, so yes, and how to automate without having to add the authority matrix. Okay, so you mean, what do you mean without adding the criteria? How would like to?
Yes, and what do you mean by 10 pages?
By the way, this can be done only once. So it's a configuration. So if you have all these criteria, we build this one time, okay, in the approval center, and whenever a new contract is created, it will be automatically applied. So it's like any other configuration. So even if you do it manually, but it's for one time, and then it will automate the result.
Yes, manually for once, but later on it will be automatic. So
Right.
of course we will define the automation rule in a manual manner, but for once.
Yeah. So if you already have this in place and you need any additional support, you can reach out to our support team. So we can assist in reconfiguring this, or if you have additional rules that you want to apply, we can help with this. So please feel free to reach out to our support team. So any other questions?
I think that it is 4:33 p.m.
Okay, so if no more questions, we can end it up.
So Khalid, please feel free to contact us by sending an email to the support team or to Caroline, to me, and we will be more than happy to discuss furthermore your questions.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, I think that's it. Again, thank you all for attending today.
Thank you all for your attendance. Thank you, Caroline, for your clear and informative demonstration.
Thank you.
And see you.
The next webinars.
Our next webinar will be in 1 month.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.